Okay, so we got the macro closures. Let's go ahead and go over all the charts so that we can see what the potentials are for the coming week. Please remember that coming week is actually going to be short, right? We have a short session coming up on Monday, which is going to end at about 10 a.m. Pacific. And then it's going to be, in observance of the July 4th Independence Day, of course, where the markets are going to be closed. And then it'll continue on Wednesday, all right, team? So let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Once again, this is ARCa coming at you with the GTII technicals and raw price action thread of analysis on this Sunday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. So, you guys, it's actually been pretty hot here in Southern California, right? So I actually please excuse that noise in the background. You hear that, the blowing? So that's actually I had to pull out the independent AC unit so that I don't drain my my central air from the house, right? So we have a smaller unit here in the studio so that we can keep it cool all on its own, right? So please don't mind that, team. I just wanted to apologize about that. I am a little ashamed of it, of course, but it's definitely needed right here to keep ARCa a little bit cool. Anyway, so team, okay, so the good news here is that we're definitely closing the monthly iteration here inside of this ascending channel that we've been looking at, right? So which increases the probabilities now of a point of reversal, okay? But I'm not saying that we are going to reverse. I'm just saying that it increases the probabilities of it. Okay, so another macro closure, of course, within the monthly time frame is this, that we absolutely closed this monthly candle upside of the mean band from the Gaussian channel. Okay, and another thing is that we absolutely validated the 2-spot 618 at 71.28. Okay, so that's a very, very good thing, right? So currently facing resistance at about the 2-spot 272 at about 83.34, right? We're sitting at 82 flat. So I mean, honestly, guys, it's just I learned it from someone on Twitter, right? Very good friend. Actually very knowledgeable trader too. So he mentioned that these closures are absolutely low when they come to macro ends, right? Especially when we're looking at quarter ends or when we're looking at semi-annual ends like today or on Friday. To kind of do things with their books, right? They close the valuations of the assets kind of low, right? So which is another thing to kind of keep in mind here is in general the 6-month close or the semi-annual close, which actually closes only once a year, of course, right? Because it's semi-annual, right? It's literally half a year. So that's typically when big money, smart money, institutions, hedge funds, they tend to recalibrate their portfolios, right? So they'll end up, closing out their losers, holding their winners, whatever it is. They'll recalibrate it and then continue on their journey, for the following year, for the following half a year, right? So it's important to know these things, right? So this macro closure consisted of a 6-month closure, quarterly close of a 3-month, right? Bi-monthly, monthly, and of course the weekly, right? So lots of closures there, you guys, and it's absolutely a very important day. Okay, so so let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here. And some other good news is that on the hourly time frame, we actually printed a bullish engulfing candle formation here, which can introduce some upside relative to the short-term time frame, right? So that's a very good thing to kind of keep in mind. That paired with increasing volatility and a stochastic momentum position that's very close to the gravitational zone of the bullish control zone, that actually kind of sets it up for a pretty nice continuation to the upside. Not to mention that the stochastic momentum is already within the bullish control zone anyway, right? So that's a very good thing. Check this out: upside pivot on the RSI signal, upside pivot on the SMA 14, and we're still facing some upside here on the MACD too. Okay, team, very, very good stuff. Let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what else we have. Okay, so this is now a new setup that I've actually not prepared for, and it's getting very close to realizing. So this is regarding volatility versus momentum, and you can see here that the momentum is actually starting to pivot towards the upside with both the EMA 3 and the SMA 14. So mathematically speaking, whenever volatility enters the critical contraction zone, which is within the 15 percentile or sometimes within the 10, right, and expands beyond the 15 percentile with an upside pivot paired with stochastic momentum with an upside pivot, that usually leads to a pretty strong move to the upside. One of which I haven't actually back tested, right? So I've back tested several time frames on GTII, but this looks like it's another one that we're going to have to back test to gain some probabilities here, some higher probability targets. So yeah, this thing is almost set to actually reach that critical contraction. So that would be in relation to the 8-hour chart, of course, right? So it's I would say probably another few days before this thing actually reaches the inside of the critical zone here, before it actually starts pivoting towards the upside. The signal will essentially fire as soon as the volatility component, which is this spectrum line, and the moving average, which is the white line, dive into the critical zone and then pivot towards the upside. So upon that pivot towards the upside and beyond the 15th percentile, that would be when the signal would essentially fire towards the upside, right? So that's when we can actually make the statistics play. All right, so let's move on to the next chart here, and this is going to be the last part of the analysis, guys. Please notice here that the 30-minute immediate short-term time frame is sitting in the bull weakness percentile, but at the gravitational zone of it, right, with an upside pivot on both the SMA 14 and the RSI signal. Pretty bullish. That's likely to continue on to the upside, which would then give validity to the hourly bullish engulfing formation that we actually found right over here, right? So yeah, that would actually lead to a pretty nice upside. Another thing to mention here is that the bi-hourly time frame is also pivoted towards the upside with the RSI signal, right? So it also looks like the SMA 14 is starting to correct as well. All right, so now let's look at some short-term resistances. Okay, so the 4-hour time frame could be showing us some resistance, but I do have to kind of point out here that both the 8-hour and the 4-hour, yes, they do have the resistance from the SMA 14, but they're both sitting within the gravitational zone of the bear weakness percentile. So that would actually, potentially give an opportunity for the RSI signal to succeed the upside of the SMA 14 on two major time frames here. So you're looking at the 4-hour and the 8-hour potential succession, right? So now 12-hour time frame already has an upside pivot, slight upside pivot on that SMA 14. Nice, same situation here on the daily, and it looks like we're in essence here consolidating with a little bit of downside on both the 3-day and the 5-day. These are telling me that we're just waiting for the influence from the shorter time frames to really figure out what they're trying to do, and then the upper time frames will likely follow, right? Following that domino effect, the cascading effect that we always speak of, right, team? So that's essentially what I'm looking at for GTII. And I mean, if we were to put some type of resistance levels here, I mean, we could I guess we could do that, right? So there are let's see this. Yeah, there is a range to kind of look at, right? So remember that this is a very short-term time frame upside, right? So let's see. I would say right at about 82.50 to the space of between these two candles here, at about 83. Let me see. Can I get any tighter there? It looks like it's about 83 flat, right? So it could, yeah. So I mean, it's not that big of an upside here, but it can help the shorter time frames push, right? That's a % up to the upside. And now, looking for the further targets to the upside, there is actually one here. I'm gonna have to favor this as a range as well, right? So the hourly moving average on the SMA 50 will likely move pretty fast. So there could be this resistance here, top side of the wick here, opening of this candle right over here too, right, to about almost 84 cents, which would then introduce continuation to the upside here for about 2.5%, right, and that's particular to the hourly time frame before we face some type of rejection from that SMA 50, in which case we would then come back and validate some current highs, right? So at least that's kind of like what we're seeing here. We then have to see, we really have to see what momentum is going to look like after we get a short upside there, because we're already kind of introducing that from the shorter time frames, right? We're getting that upside pivot here on the 30-minute, getting that upside pivot right here on the hourly time frame. So we want these upsides to kind of bleed into the upper time frames, just like it is here on the bi-hourly, right? So now the next one to do it on is going to be the 4-hour time frame. It's already getting that upside too. So now in respects to the 4-hour, if we do continue on to the upside, then my targets would actually change to 87.10 to about 90 cents, right? Upon I guess upon certain conditions, right, of meeting the upsides in the shorter time frame first. And I mean, that being said, please look at the 4-hour time frame MACD. We're already getting the indications of a bullish cross here. So it's looking pretty good, you guys. It's not bad. Let's just go ahead and take it step by step. Please remember that this is going to be a very critical opening here starting on Monday, and it's also going to be a very short week. So that's going to present some very unexplained price action. Not that GTII doesn't already do that, right? So even more to add on top of that, it's going to be the indecision of what's happening in the institutional positions, also what's happening to the psychology regarding the short week coming up, and all that good stuff, right, team? So please remember that I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence, and everything will be cool. All right, guys, so I think this is a pretty good place to leave off. If you have any questions or concerns, you always know where to reach me. But with that said, I wish you well a very, very good weekend, or a long weekend to whoever has it, right? And I will catch you at the bell mañana. Actually, on Monday, right? Adios, team. Yeah, it is mañana. Damn it, man. I'm missing it right here. Who hired ARCa? Anyway, team, peace. Later.